I am so tired of this, what seems to be unending divisiveness in America. What happened to the days where it didn't matter who you are and what you believed in? What happened to understanding that, hey, we're all people, we've all got ideas. And in America, they're all equal, just as equal as the people. This isn't a democratic republic. That means we're all Democrats and we're all Republicans. It's like mom and dad. How can you say you love one more than the other? Look at Obama. He might have some issues with Trump, but he's choosing to stay silent because he knows that the people want Trump and he respects that. And we've got to respect that as well. For all this talk of Trump being a dictator, why hasn't he thrown him in jail? I'll be the first to say it. I had my reservations about Obama, but when he chose Biden as his VP, that was so reassuring. Obama campaigned on changing this and that, but when he saw just how beautiful our system was, he didn't change a thing. I love that. Politics shouldn't be about tearing things down. It's about finding where we can all meet in the middle. Discourse, debate, discussion. I love that. It shouldn't be so serious. Like, the Democrats and Republicans really aren't that much different from each other. So in the end, it's all like a game. Like your favorite sports team. Sometimes we all have our wins and our losses. But boy, we sure did have a good game. You might be wondering, well, who did I vote for, right? I'll be honest. Back in 2024, and every election I ever voted in, I couldn't pick one over the other. So I voted for both. That's right, Democrat and Republican. I always vote for both. And in 2024, I voted for Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And you're going to go, you can't do that. Well, I did. And I stand by what I did. You've got this unprecedented election with two fine candidates, and you're going to have me pick sides? You want to force me to choose between potentially the first Black Asian woman president, a sign of the system working as intended, incremental progress, the American dream as progress, or someone who's willing to throw the rules out the window? A master at playing the media, who can come back after so many controversies, who never gives up when all the cards are stacked against him. So, I'm not going to play your game. They are both worthy candidates of the title of president, and you're not going to force me to decide that one is better than the other. I've made my stance clear. I'm above this divisiveness, and many of you are still in it, and it's sad. We could all be getting along, but so many just can't accept that. Right after the election, I like to imagine Kamala and Trump meeting up, maybe at a bar or a cafe, and just like having a chat, being friendly, cordial. What happened to that? I'd have been just as happy to have the first Black woman, Indian, as president as I would with what I got with Trump, who has this historical comeback, returning as the president. There's beauty in that story. And while we're on this, I have to hand it to Biden. What he did was so inspiring, that he was so dedicated to his duty as president. It's like seeing your old, infirm grandfather who struggles to move and speak, pushing through all of that to become the president. That's why you don't tell your seniors to sit down when they still have so much to offer. So beautiful. I love that. I would have loved to have voted for him again along with Trump. And in the end, he still gave it all up for Kamala. To think, we never might have even had such a good man as president. I don't want to have to get negative, but if there's someone in politics who deserves it more than any other, it's got to be Bernie. I don't want to have to do this, but when you have such a wonderful, honorable man like Joe, who after half a century of public service quietly moves on without a fuss. And then you've got Bernie, trotting out the same boring ideas he's had since like the 60s, never realizing that no one cares. I remember back in 2016 and 2020, whenever he spoke, or should I say shouted, I just wanted someone to go up to him and say, "Excuse me, Bernie, the adults are speaking." If it was a choice between Bernie and Trump, I hate to say it, I would have voted for Trump only. And Obama, Biden, Hillary, Kamala, they probably would have done the same too. They all realized you can't be inflexible with your positions. Nobody from the party he tried to take over wants anything to do with him. Imagine the first black president, and then right after, the first woman president. Beautiful. I love that. It's like poetry. But then Bernie came and almost ruined it. Thanks, Obama never felt more true than when he got all those other candidates to drop out in 2020 to ensure that Biden won Super Tuesday. If what Bernie wanted was so popular, then why don't either of the parties take them on? All of his supporters, they're like children. And sometimes children need to be spanked, but also you have to hug them so they know you to turn away from stupid things. They need to be thinking about the future. All of us do. We can't have people just try to take power and do whatever they want because they think they're right. Like FDR, 4 terms? Come on, man. You can't just do that. And you see the results. In those 4 terms, he couldn't get everything he wanted. He couldn't get universal health care. Your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, they are not likely to see it in their lifetimes. But isn't it beautiful that the thing you're dreaming of now will still be something they're striving for then? That's how things should be. It might take generations, centuries, millenniums from now, but the small steps we took here are going to lead to the wonderful world they had there. And it's entirely possible. We're on the precipice of it right now, and all it takes is that final push to see it through, and then we'll be in the era that will be considered as good as it ever could be. In fact, we might even be in it right now and not even know it. I know I've done my part. We need something to aspire to. We just can't have it handed to us. I remember back in 2000, I was in Florida, voting Bush and Gore. How could anyone choose between them? So I helped convince others to just go ahead and vote both of them. And we all know how that turned out. Bush went ahead and brought American democracy to Afghanistan and Iraq. I love that. And then Obama went and expanded on that. Both parties working toward the same goal. How can you not love that? Look what happened with Israel and Gaza. What a tough situation. But Biden and Trump agreed on what needed to be done. I'm so glad they understood how complicated that was and reached basically the same conclusion. Because if something like October 7th happened to me, personally, I would not be as forgiving as Israel has been. Because they want to wipe out everyone in Gaza, but instead they're only aiming for about half of them. That's some compromise. Another time where we see bipartisanship is with the Epstein files. What do we need to release them for? It's just going to cause more divisiveness when we should all be looking for not only forgiveness, but understanding. I think we shouldn't be making enemies out of anybody. And Trump was so mature and thoughtful by not needlessly stirring up resentment. And it's likely because Biden extended the olive branch in the same way. I know that if Obama, Hillary, or Kamala had them, they would have done the same. It's like Trump finally saw the value for preserving the status quo. I think the word we're looking for here that might be the key is empathy. We've got to understand where everybody is coming from. Let's talk about a big issue, abortion. On one side, you've got the importance of life and the need to protect it at all costs. The other, the freedom of a woman to live her life on her own terms, ensuring that the choice is always available to her. If it ever comes down to a vote, I'd vote for both. You put a gun to my head and say, choose, pull the trigger. Because you're not going to force me to choose. I'm going both ways, and you won't stop me from taking my stand. Not like these cowards who want this ranked choice nonsense. More and more division, separating and segmenting people who are all equally valid and disgusting. Every time I see that proposition on the ballot, vote against it. We can't have these fence sitters who say they're making a more fair system when really it's just splitting things further and further apart. That's why we all need to come together and have discourse, dialogue, debate. We can all meet in the middle. I had a friend who was gay, and he was so upset at me when I told him that I voted for Reagan, but I also voted for Carter. He was so dismissive, but I stood by what I did, and I was willing to test my beliefs. I introduced him to my friend who was homophobic and once said if he ever saw a homosexual, he would kill them. I thought this was the perfect way to test my theory of people being able to compromise with each other. When they met, instead of killing my gay friend who put out his hand for a shake, he spit on him and then beat him to an inch of his life. But he refrained from calling him the worst slur you could call a homosexual, and he only shouted that he was a queer. He still held on to his beliefs about gays, but didn't kill one. He fought for what he believed in, but met in the middle. Did not agree with the opposing viewpoint, yet compromised. I love that. My gay friend died not long after from AIDS, but I know that in his final moments, he saw what I was trying to do. He was thinking about the wonderful, tremendous thing I'd done for him, exposing the humanity that was present in all of us. And I wish throughout history, more could have tried to accomplish what happened here. I look back at arguably the worst period in American history, the Civil War, where discourse and dialogue broke down and fellow Americans had to resort to violence. It's such a shame that they couldn't have met in the middle and found some kind of way to compromise. I really hope we can return to that conversation. For the South, slavery was a way of life, and the North took that from them. Where was the understanding? Where was the empathy? If you had ancestors who were slaves, find a white household, and you know what? Just clean up their yards for them, for free. Serve them a meal. Just be good, be decent. Don't be causing no trouble, which some of you tend to be doing. And the thing with the Indians, how can you think that just going west was a genocide? They simply failed to make a convincing argument that the land was theirs. They lacked the skills the colonists had at debate. If only they could see things from another perspective. But what's done is done. Or is it? Maybe we can look back and see what could have been done differently. Take the Holocaust, for example. 6 million Jews. Okay, let's meet in the middle, find some compromise, be reasonable, and bargain. Instead of 6 million, how about 1 million? Then Hitler says 5, then we hit him back with 2, he'll go for 4, and then we meet in the middle and only 3 million Jews. And we've just saved 3 million and not had a war. We didn't agree with him, but saw where he was coming from and came to a reasonable, fair outcome for everybody. That's what we need more of now. To all those that think the Holocaust should have or could have been stopped, no, there was a way to find balance for everyone to get at least something. Like, we're working together to kill 3 million instead of 6 million. We can't all get what we want, but we can all meet in the middle, compromise. When I talk to Nazis, they are just so eager. They go, yes, let's kill 3 million. But for people on the other side, they look at me with such disgust, as if I'm being completely unreasonable. Nazis, I can meet with and have a decent, productive conversation. But the other side, I have to be honest, they're a bit stubborn, irrational. They think I'm evil for just trying to have a conversation when I care the most. I'm seeing things from every angle. It's like, yeah, they have views I disagree with, but that's all of us. We've still got to work together, find common ground, see the humanity in others. Just have some basic empathy, understand where people are coming from, and you'll find out, you know what? The Nazis are just like us. They've got family and friends, people they love, things that they're passionate about. We can't live in this world that's eye for an eye, that's vicious, that's vengeful. That's why there's so much misery and violence. People refusing to be compassionate. It's sickening. Take a stand and let people in from all walks of life. You know, don't be someone like Bernie. Be like Hillary or Kamala or Reagan or Bush. Be a Trump or a Biden. Be an Obama. You know, and I think this moment, truly, we're on the right path. You can always say that one candidate or party is a little bit better than the other in this or that, when ultimately the differences are so small that we were always going to end up here.